label your notes as solving equations by completing the square. Solving equations by completing the square. Same process that we already use, and I'm going to show you how to do this by showing you some examples. So example number 1, and we'll start with the first example. Let's do this. What I would like you to do is solve this equation. Now, when I say solve an equation, what you're really doing is finding the zeros. That's what it means to solve an equation. You find the value of x that will make the equation equal to 0. So let's start with, let's do x squared minus 8x minus 84 is equal to 0. Your job is to solve for x, but we're going to do this by completing the square. You guys should be really good at completing the square now. So what is the first step that we've been talking about? What's the first thing you do to solve for x? Or excuse me, to complete the square, what would you do? Go ahead, Liz. So you've got to add 84 to each side. So you add 84 to the left, which means, of course, you have to add it to the right. So that means we have this, x squared, no new steps. This is all stuff we've already done. X squared minus 8x. Leave your space, put an equal sign, and then put an 84 after. Now the next thing that we did was we took negative 8, divided it by 2. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4, remember to put negative 4 in parentheses. Square it, you get 16, a positive 16. Which means that I need to add 16 to the left. And I also need to add 16 to the right. So what I've just done here with these three terms is I've created a perfect square. And remember, whatever I get after I divide by 2 over here on the left is what shows up in the parentheses. So we have x minus 4 squared is equal to, what is 84 plus 16? Is 100. Hey, Lack. Can you turn around? All right. If I asked you what the vertex is right now, you would tell me, what would you tell me? Positive 4, negative 100. But I'm not asking you that. What I'm asking you instead is to keep going with this and solve for x. So I need to take you back to, I don't know, maybe middle school, maybe your freshman year. I can't remember. But at some point, I know you've been taught this, but maybe you have forgotten. What is 25? You guys know that 25 can be written as 5 squared. Is that true? Okay. So what is the square root of 25? Square root of 25 is 5. Well, you guys just told me that 25 is the same thing as 5 squared, right? So when I take the square root of 25, it really means that I'm taking the square root of 5 squared. Would you agree? Taking the square root of 25 is the same thing as taking the square root of 5 squared. And you guys just told me that the square root of 25 is 5. So the point of me talking about this is that when you square root something that is squared,
all students from the GRCC class that are going on the Art Prize field trip, please be dismissed at this time and board the bus. Again, all Art Prize students from the GRCC class can be dismissed at this time.
so when you square root something that is squared, you just get the number that was being squared. Do you understand what I'm saying? You square root something squared, you get the number that's squared. Well, the same thing's going to happen here. If I need to solve for this x that right now has a 4 subtracted from it and then it's squared, we need to get rid of the squared. So So how are we going to get rid of the squared? We're going to square root it. So I square root the left side, which means I have to square root the right side. So I square root the right side over here. And when you square root x minus 4 squared, just like when you square root 5 squared, you get 5. What's going to happen when you square root x minus 4 squared? 4. Well, you get the whole thing that's squared. You get this whole thing. So what is the square root of x minus 4 squared?
X minus 4.
X minus 4. So you get x minus 4 is equal to, what is the square root of 100? It is 10. But the problem is this, and I know you've done this before. The square root of 25. You guys told me earlier that the square root of 25 is 5. But 5 is not the only answer. Not only is it 5, but it is also negative 5. It's 5 and negative 5. So we have a plus and a minus. You with me here? So when you take the square root of 100, you don't just have 10, you have positive and negative 10. Couple new steps. Little teeny tiny details to remember. So now what you need to do is this. X minus 4 could be 10, but x minus 4 could also be negative 10. So we need to consider both options. So what I need to do is this. I'm going to come over here to the side, and you need to write down, okay, well, x minus 4 could be 10, but it also could be negative 10. It could be 10, it could be negative 10. And what you've done here is created two very, very simple algebraic equations. How do you solve for x in the first one? Add 4. So I'm going to add 4 here, add 4 here. So x is equal to 10 plus 4, which is 14. And then you have to do the same thing over here. You add 4 to each side to solve for x. So x here is going to be equal to a negative 10 plus 4. What is negative 10 plus 4? Negative 6. So my other answer is negative 6. So we have a negative 6 as a possibility, and we have a 14 as a possibility. Lots and lots of little tiny details. Chelsea, you had your hand up. Did I answer your question?
Oh, I was gonna ask, when you write the positive or it when you change the sign and stuff, can you write it like the x minus 4 equals the plus, and then the minus sign under the plus equals 10?
Just like I did here. And then you know what? This is what I worry about. This is what students will do. If they don't go any further than this, they write this and then they solve for x. This is what a lot of students will do. They'll take 10 minus 4 and then they'll take 10 plus 4 and give me those two answers. But that's not what it is. It's 10 plus 4 and it is negative 10 plus 4.
Yeah.
So just be really, really careful, okay? It's these two possible 10s, both with a 4 added onto it.
Okay. I
Okay?
didn't realize that you wrote it that way because Marissa's head's sitting right there.
Well,
So
she has just such a big brain that it just, All right, let's move on to, I want to do one more example with you, and then I'm going to stop talking and let you guys listen to this or try this yourself.
Aw.
So, I know.
Good job.
I forgot what I was doing.
So let's try another one. Let's do x squared. Let's do this. X squared minus 18x minus 83 is equal to 5. What do I do first? What do I do first, you guys? Add 83. Same thing you've been doing and doing and doing. Add 83 to the left, which means you need to add it to the right. So you have x squared minus 18x. Those cancel out. Leave your space is equal to 5 plus 83. 5 plus 83 is 88. No new steps yet. Nothing's new yet. I'm going to come over here to the side. I have negative 18, I divide it by 2. This number divided by 2 gives me negative 9. Don't forget to put that negative 9 in parentheses. When you square it, you get a positive 81. So I add 81 to the left, which means then that I add 81 to the right. So these three terms create some quantity squared. Notice the squared goes outside of the parentheses. So this number right here is the number that goes inside the parentheses next to your x. So we have x minus 9 squared equals 88 plus 81, I believe, is 169. And if I asked you the vertex right now, you would tell me 9, negative 169, but I am not asking you for the vertex. I am asking you to solve it. So what is the next step? Square root it. So I square root the left, I square root the right. The square root of x minus 9 squared is what? It is x minus 9 is equal to the square root of 169, I believe is 13.
Yes.
All right, so I do a little plus and minus 13. So now I have to consider both options, and I highly, highly, highly encourage you to write both of them out. So write out x minus 9 is equal to 13, and then write out that x minus 9 is equal to negative 13. What do I do now? Yep, notice I'm always adding 9. In both of the equations that I've just created here, I'm always adding 9. Those cancel out. X is equal to 13 plus 9 is 22. And then here the same thing, I'm adding 9. So those cancel out. X is equal to negative 13 plus 9, which is negative 4. So I have two solutions, two zeros, in other words. I have 22 and I have negative 4. How do you feel about that? Questions? You ready to try some yourself?